Hello guys and welcome back to another race in SimRacingOnline. We're a little bit late by 1 minute, so we're just gonna go ahead and the qualifying just started. 15 minutes of qualifying in both classes. What we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and show you all the schedule and everything real quick. So this race is in Istanbul, and it's happening today in a track of 652 kilometers in Turkey. Obviously, the race is 92 minutes. It's round 3 of 6, or is that 4? I think we mistaken that. Nonetheless, it should be round 4, as we see right here. It is in Istanbul, happening today, on the 20th of February, 2022, and as we see, the guys are already starting their qualifying laps. The GTE, it's mixed, so all cars will go within the track. They don't have to wait for the P2 to do the laps. Then the GTEs, it's all mixed, multi-class, and the quali as well. So you gotta be careful, like, to get a clean lap. Watch or find a good way or a good clean lap where you got no traffic to get the better out of your car, the most performance you can extract, pretty much. Other than that, the qualifying is happening right now, as we will switch briefly to the timing sheet. As we're watching right now, Nicola Pastor starting his first lap behind Giuseppe and Lewis Middleton in that Ferrari. Beautiful livery right there. It looks like it could be an amateur or something, not sure, but it's a very familiar livery on the Ferrari 488 GTE. As the LMP2 guys also are heading for their first laps in the 15 minutes of quali, as it's only 12 minutes left now. We have Johnny Gutierrez right here with his not sure what kind of livery is that, but it looks like could be a custom livery, not sure. Nonetheless, it looks beautiful indeed. As he sets his first sector, followed by Tony right behind him. Not sure if he's gonna make use of that split stream behind him. He's a little bit behind, but it could come in handy. But I could be sure for Carl Milton, as he's directly behind Tony Talviti. Surely will help him get the best out of that split stream and gain those extra few tenths of a second to get the best lap possible. But it could ruin your lap in the very high downforce corners. But this track not really has that many high downforce corners, if any, as it's mostly straights and sharp corners. As we see, Sam goes a little bit wide there, try not to interfere with the boys in the LMP2. As we see Carl Middleton about to finish his lap, the first lap ever in this qualifying session, and it puts him in P3. Johnny Gutierrez is right now leading this qualifying, followed by Tony, as Giuseppe also set the fastest first sector with a 41.5. All purple sectors in that BMW with a 50.36. Good lap by Giuseppe right there, as he goes for another one. Looks like William is not participating in this qualifying, as we see John with best personal time in sector 1 and 2. Is he gonna get anything? It's a 53.6. It's a little bit behind, but not that far. As we see Joe Brown also about to finish his lap. Where's that going to put him? He set his personal best, presumably because it's his first lap. Sets a 52.8. Great job by Joe Brown and his Porsche. As always, he always entertains us with that beautiful car. Looks like he get the hand of it, or he knows how to handle it better than most cars he picked, which I absolutely agree with him with picking that Porsche. As we see, Johnny Gutierrez sets up his fastest sector 2, but the first sector was by 1/10 down on his personal best. Is it gonna be enough for him to keep him in the lead? We won't know until Tony crosses as he's still behind. Oh, Tony takes it away! Never mind, actually. Tony puts an astonishing lap of 41.7. He's half a second ahead of Johnny Gutierrez, as Carl Middleton is doing his first sector, making sure everything goes right for him. And we see Andrew not doing anything different than his previous lap, sets up a 46 hashtag. We see his car smoking a little bit, must be running some very low radiator tip to get the best out of that. Down, I would say the drag gets lower since everything is closed. You get better airflow, which could lead to better speed. Not sure if that's gonna help him a bit, because it can ruin your engine eventually. As we see Giuseppe on his first sector. Looks like Neil Tasker is not. He did a lap of 150, but right now he's sitting in the garage. And Joe Brown is about to cross the start-finish line. Is that going to change his position? No, he stays in P3. As we see David lost control there. It's pretty easy to lose control there. And since it's going to rain, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge in that corner. Especially if it's too wide. That's going to be big of a challenge to keep the car in one piece and not lose it in that corner, as it's a downhill going down all the way downhill until the third corner after that first one. So we had some yellow flags going on right there. Looks like the P2 is still the same as Tony goes probably for a new tires. Not sure yet. It looks like he's getting new tires to set a better lap, as Johnny Gutierrez is yet to do his best lap yet. He's got the fastest first sector. Actually not. It's done by Carl Middleton. I think because of that drag that he had from Tony, that helped him set up that good sector 1, fastest sector 1, as Carl Middleton heads out for one more lap. He's got, I think he cleared that traffic. That no, he's still. It's a P2 car, so he should technically be good for his lap. As we have Andrew Harper, his car, I don't know if that was a locking up or his car was smoking. Either way, it's not a good thing to have when you're doing a qualifying, as it should not be. Slap. Yeah, we see his engine again going smoking out in low speed corners because the engine is not breathing enough. So chokes him up, chokes the engine, and which leads, as we see Thomas doing a little drifting right there in turn 1. That surely won't be a good lap for Thomas as he waits for another go. And we are 6 minutes to go for the qualifying, as we go back to the GT class, and Nicola Pastro is P2 right now, 178th of a second behind Giuseppe Pastro, as he's leading the first. He's leading first right now in the qualifying, sitting in the P1 with a lap of a 51.23. Should be enough technically, but cannot let Nicola takes that lap from him, as he has to go out one more time to see if he can get better lap. But it looks like he won't, as we see him in the pit. Probably he's changing his tires. We can't see it directly from this angle. If we can switch, yeah, I think he gave up on his setting the best lap, which will give Nicola all the room, all the 5 minutes to get that P1, as I'm not sure if Giuseppe escaped in the middle of the track, because you can't do that based on the rule, or he just escaped while he was in the pit lane. We're not technically sure about that. As Neil Tasker is 1.5 seconds behind. Looks like behind the P2. A lot of the boys are a little bit struggling, as we have Joe Brown is yet to set a good lap for now. Last lap was a 52.8, and it's his best lap so far. he might have had some issues finishing those laps, as Johnny Gutierrez sits 38.0. Fastest time so far in Sector 1. You can see that purple first sector as he's heading for that straight, going downhill, shifting down while watching those revs not to blow the engine as he goes through the second gear. Going up to a little bit of a downhill, you can lose the car there, but you have a strong straight line, which is very important to get the better exit to build that speed all the way to the end. As he passes the GTE right there, did not see the purple sector, which means, if you guys watching, the fastest lap on that sector as he slows down, going down to that first gear, taking that hairpin looking like corner as he tries to keep the car stable as he can as he exits through that last corner. Is that enough to put him in P1? Yes, it is, with a 41.5. Excellent lap by Johnny Gutierrez with two fast sectors, the first and the last one. Tony Talbiti behind him with only 1/10. This fight is just starting as Tony goes for another one, and presumably Johnny will too, as we see the boys on the back with Carl Middleton still on that P3 with 1 second behind Tony, which he is on P2 right now. Jason White is also 7/10 behind Carl Middleton, as he couldn't get a best time in his sector 2. It's a slower time. Looks like the car is not a little bit stable there. He takes that hairpin going outside. Can he keep it straight? Will it change his position? It did indeed. Puts him in P3 right there. I think he can go for one more as we still have 2 minutes. And the lap is almost a 150 minutes, so he should give him around 2 more laps to get more out of the car, as Giuseppe still leads the qualifying session. And it's still 1:79.10, a second ahead, Nicola Pastro, as Neil Taskers improves on his best times, yet he's still 1.5 seconds behind Nicola Pastro. Looks like Nicola and Giuseppe are on their league of their own as they put their best laps right now. David Caprusi sets up his best sectors so far. His last lap, or his best lap, was a 1:52.8, which was his last lap, P2. Looks like Joe Brown is struggling a little bit today. Couldn't extract the best of his car. He's only 0.03 behind the car ahead of him, but still, I think he can get the best out of that car as we go through this qualifying session with only 1:44 minutes to go. Lewis Middleton is only 1/27 of a second behind John. Doesn't look like he's gonna go for any lap, and I don't think he has time to do that. Bart Eriksson, the winner of the last 2 races, is still on track. He's only 1:57 of a second behind Lewis. I think with a good clean lap, with no interfere of the P2 cars, it might put him ahead of Lewis, but it doesn't look like he sets a good lap time, as he's a little bit slow on that sector 1. I would say a little bit, it's a bit too much. Will he have enough time to do one more lap? So we're about to find out as we see Jen Bruce also gave up. He's done a lap of 1:53.5. Looks like the battle ahead between Johnny and Tony is still happening. It doesn't look like he improved on any of the sectors as he goes to the pit. Is he trying to get? Nah, that's over, because when he crossed the line, it's over. There's not much more laps he can do, as Tony already quitted, which puts him in a potentially the P1 in this qualifying session, as it's only 9 seconds to go. As Nicola crosses the finish line and takes the lead from Giuseppe by 1/10 of a second. Is Giuseppe still on check? He is. It looks like he did not improve on that first sector. He did not improve on his best time. He goes a little bit wide there. Not sure if he get a cut from there. I think not, because his lap is still counting. Neil Tasker is still putting his last lap. This is the last lap you are watching right now, as Giuseppe marches through that long straight, no lift, going all the way, looking for that braking point, trying to be precise, trying to get that braking marking precise as he turns that before last corner, trying to keep the car as steady as you can. Oh, it looks like he let go of that lap. Looks like he is happy enough to get a P2, as Nicola goes a little bit too wide, which will take away the lap time, so that doesn't count. As Neil Tasker is about to finish his lap, did not improve on any of the sectors. Looks like every car is going. Oh, he crashed there. Shouldn't be a problem. He can still keep going. Just touch the wall, as we saw Joe Brown right there. Is he gonna change his position? Doesn't look like it. He's still in a P5. What a qualifying we just saw right now. As Tony and Johnny did not want to let any of the other pass, but eventually Johnny took that pole position from Tony. Same goes for Nicola. It was at the end that he took that pole position from Giuseppe, which puts him ahead of him and Neil in the third place. That was one hell of a qualifying. As we see Joe Brown trying to take his car all the way back to the pit stalls or to the garage, as we wait to show you the starting grid of today. And first, we have Johnny Gutierrez, followed by Tony, P2. Absolute great fight today. Jason Watt at P3, Carl Middleton in P4. We have Thomas Holtzel in P5, Tanner Selby in P6, Andrew Harper P7, Craig Johns P8. As in P9 we have Mikael Labelle in 9 and Roger Hins in P10, which is the last place. As we switch to the GTE class, Nicola Pastro takes the lead from Giuseppe Pastro in P2, followed by Neil Tasker P3, David Capruzzi in P4. And not a great result from Joe Brown, puts him in a P5, followed by John van der Geest in P6, Lewis Middleton in P7, and Barrett Erickson, the winner of the last two races, in P8, followed by Tom Parton in P9 in that Porsche, Jen Rones in that Ferrari in P10, followed by Alberto Alvarez P11, and Didier Coelho P12, followed by Rob Millen P13, Arnold Coach P14, Will Caligari, who did not qualify today, P15, and Samir Arshad in P16, followed by Nigel Middleton in the last place. As we wait for the session to switch to the race, it's a warm-up, 3 minutes warm-up. The race, the qualifying so far was pretty heated, especially with the front runners, with Johnny and Tony. The names, it's always hard for me to get the names, the spelling, because it's a Joni and Tony. See, I gotta be careful with spelling their names. As we wait for the warm-up, 3 minutes warm-up for the boys, the drivers, boys and girls, the drivers, to check their setup, make sure everything is correct, make sure the set of tires is chosen correctly. As we have rain, you gotta get your strategy right, as we saw Barrett Erickson did that perfectly in last two races that we broadcasted, and which led him to win those races, as he's right now leading the championship. Excellent stuff from Barrett Erickson. One of the drivers that was able to execute a perfect strategy in the last 3 races. Presumably we watch. I believe he won all of them so far. As Barrett Ericsson is leading right now with 11 and 16 points. Behind him, Jen Rose, 96, Didier Collio, and John P4. Yeah, it looks like Barrett is leading this championship by 20 points. And he had 2 wins and 3 podiums, so he won 2 races. Now we have the correct information. And this is race 4. We wish him the best. We wish he can win. We wish the win for everyone. We can't wait to see what's going to happen during this race in Istanbul. As people are warming up right now, as we have new drivers in the GT class. And one of them is from our team, which is Will Caligari, and one from the broadcast team, which was so excited to see the races decided to take part, so which leaves us me and Lorenzo for today, as he's getting ready to join me very shortly.
I am here, Nas.
And
so,
there's Lorenzo.
And welcome again, as Nas already did before, but I'm gonna take my part of the merit. So I'm gonna welcome you a second time to some great racing, great action in Istanbul here at Istanbul Park Circuit, located just outside the city of Istanbul in Turkey. A track that saw the beginning of a new era in Formula One. In fact, this track was added to the 2005 and 2006 championship in Formula One. And today we tackle it with some great multi-class racing, LMP1 versus LMP2 versus GT class. And as we saw in qualifying, the drivers are hungry to get some results because championship is halfway, and you really want to start stacking some points up, don't they, Nas?
Yes, sir, indeed. As we saw that executing perfect strategy, what was beautifully done by Barrett Ericsson in the last 2 races, showed that when you are fully prepared to commit those laps, clean laps, and get that strategy perfectly executed, it could eventually, and which we saw, give you the win to Barrett Ericsson in 2 consecutive races.
Yes, and Barrett Ericsson has been on fire, both strategy-wise and on raw pace. He was the better driver, and especially in Patras, where he was on the back of the field for most of the race, but then his strategy really came alive in the second stint. And also on Road America, it was kind of different strategy, but he dominated that race. So Barrett Ericsson is surely the guy to watch.
He is indeed. I would say the one who surprised us and caught us by surprise in the last 2 races, because he did not get the pole, as we saw from his results.
No.
He only got podiums in the first race, 1 podium, and 2 consecutive races with just keeping it clean, keeping it on track, getting your strategy right, following the plan, not changing it mid race. I mean, you can make your plan. As we move to the race.
You can make your plan and everything, but this is racing.
Yes, I got cut off by the session. Session was switching, so we see the boys and the girls, all the drivers. I said, Lorenzo, I should stop saying the boys. It might offend anyone.
Well, I don't think so, but for sure, racing is becoming a more and more equality environment, as we saw many women getting into the sport at top level. And it's 2022 is promising good in the preseason. Obviously, the main championships are yet to start, as we see the field now bunching up for the start of the formation lap. Johnny Gutierrez obviously leading in LMP2 with that amazing lap in qualifying, and look at the spray. This is the first few laps are gonna be crucial to see which driver can really make a few moves to get himself in a good position to not get compromised by the spray. Because the spray, I mean, judging from the outside, it's easy for us to say that there's a corner right there and it goes uphill and you have to really take the steering wheel into your hands and hold still. But when you're in a cockpit, that's another story. You look at this, you cannot see absolutely anything. It's a good thing that the weather is sunny, although the track is wet, because there is some light to a certain extent. But generally speaking, the spray is gonna cut somebody out, and yeah, it's surely gonna be an interesting start.
Indeed, Lorenzo, as we see the P2 cars stacking up, within probably, I think, 3 corners.
I'm surprised they're going slow. I would have thought they would wanna get some temperature into the tires and really crank up the brakes as well, because this is a critical situation, you know, for both tires and brakes, especially in the first corner, which is a heavy braking zone and downhill section as well. So you might want to have a stable car under braking there.
I think from the driver briefing, from what we saw, the delta was set between 120 and 140. So technically, everyone is trying their best to keep, you know, building heat in those tires, but also not going beyond the delta that was already discussed in the driver briefing.
It's also interesting because if they're not weaving like they are now, they're probably on wet weather tires, so they expect the track to remain wet for a good section of the race. Otherwise, if they were on slick tires, yeah, they should be careful on that situation. But you would see some cars there.
Yeah, looks like a car spun
there's
in
been
the end.
maybe a contact in the back there. I don't know.
I think on his own, we can't judge for sure.
It's difficult to tell with the spray.
Yeah, the spray makes it
which
almost...
confirms what I was saying before about the spray, by the way. Really difficult to see.
And this is just a formation lap, Lorenzo.
Yes, and Gutierrez has built he has a breathing space already. He needs to let Tony Tolice get up to him. He is way ahead.
And I think the race started.
The race is started. Green flag. Johnny Gutierrez will be investigated for that, I'm sure. He was ahead of everyone, as we now see him go all alone in the first corner. That's a really good way of doing that, because he has now clear track ahead of him. Now Tony Tolice needs to do something about that. And as we should now switch to the GTE class, which is about to start. And yeah, in fact, they have started, and Nicola Pastoria already on the prow in P1. Pastoria all over him to try and get the P1 back. Nicola having to defend already in the first couple of corners. I don't think Giuseppe needs to push now. He can just work with Nicola as much as possible and brace himself for a long race.
It's an endurance race after all, so
yes,
you gotta make up your mind. If you want to work with somebody or to overtake him, you have to be already... Your strategy needs to be on point. So whether you want to work with him or pass him, you have to do that as quickly as possible.
And look at the gap that Johnny Gutierrez has on Talvici already, more than 2.5 seconds. So Gutierrez off to a great start. Now, John VD Guest is a guy that has to make a show here today, because he's struggling, and we see Barrett Erickson really slowing down there, and he's now, Parton is all over him, look, and this gives Lewis Middleton a couple of meters to breathe.
Yeah, and Giuseppe looked like in the Delta, looked like he was trying to put a move, as he had the split stream right here, going flat out in the rain. And is he gonna get that? As we see Nicola not defending yet. He's not defending. We should open the door for Giuseppe.
Maybe? No,
he did not. He did not commit to that, possibly because of the rain. They need to recalculate the best braking point and not to go wide and presumably harm the guy ahead of you. Good call by Giuseppe right there, and good racing. As we see behind them, Neil Tasker is watching the battles unfold within his eyes, followed by David Capuzzi right there.
Yes, and Neil Tasker really having to set the laps faster, because you don't want to get too far from the guys in front of you, because it's so easy to lose time here. Now, Carl Middleton is another guy who has surprised us in the last race. His pace was amazing. Had a few spins and he went wide a couple times, but his driving was on point, as he's now chasing Jason Whitehead.
As Johnny Gutierrez, Lorenzo sits the best lap time is 3.4 seconds ahead.
He's pushing.
He is.
He probably knows the stewards are going to have a look at the start. so he has to push.
But we don't know if Tony's saving or is he pushing. So this is still the race is still on.
Oh well, yeah, we're just starting. And if I was Tony, I would just manage the fuel, manage the tires, and make sure I don't lose time with mistakes here. It's so difficult in these conditions. And you know, if Johnny is under investigation like we think he is,
But we see Arnold. I think Arnold got past Jen. Yes, Arnold got past Jen Rose, right there.
Yeah, that's for. They're just outside the top.
That's for
10,
P11.
Still,
Oh my God! There's a crash with
door.
door.
He hit the wall as well. He has damage for sure. That was a big hit.
Looks like he lost control. Was they contact Lorenzo? I couldn't see for sure.
I don't think so. I think he lost it on his own, as we see now Middleton making a move.
Yeah, he took that. He said thank you and took that from the inside. As Didier is still going outside, I think because of the damage.
He's struggling.
Yeah, the damage might have screwed his car.
Yes, probably. I mean, it's so easy to lose it. Arshad now making a move. Coelho is limping. Look at that.
Yeah.
His race is compromised.
Well, Caligari makes a move
about it.
on Barrett Ericsson.
On Barrett Ericsson. How about that for a move? The Porsche with the beautiful gold classic livery, and Barrett Ericsson really unable to respond at this stage. So great pass from Will.
As Jason White is hunting right now Tony Talviti. Tony Talviti seems like he either saving or he either conserving his tires.
Oh, White is really on the limit there.
He is. He
sees it under braking.
I mean, Tony, he knows Tony is fast. He knows he gotta dispatch him as quickly as possible. As Tony closes the door right there. I'm not sure if...
cuts in the trajectory. Good move by Tony there to protect him.
He closed the door.
Is just applying the pressure at this stage.
I mean, we haven't seen much defending by the guys. I think because they think that it's early stages of the race, so why would you defend? But in my personal opinion,
also in Tony's, you know, if I was Tony, I wouldn't push at this stage because if, as I said, if Gutierrez is under investigation for the start, really no point in trying to push now. You have to, you know, manage the tires and fuel, and whenever Johnny serves his eventual penalty, that's the moment you want to push. So let's see. It's really developing already in the first few laps.
It is. As
we see, I would say the guy that impressed me the most at the start is Will Caligari. He made a couple of places already and is now chasing Joe Brown. In fact, he's all over him, just 6 tenths behind him and gaining big time.
To
Look
pressure.
at this.
As we know, Joe Brown is really good on handling that Porsche right there because we saw him switch into the Aston.
Will has
looks like he got the inside of Joe going side by side in that straight line. Are they gonna both stick it together in that flat out corner as Joe has to lift a little bit? He doesn't lift. He might go a little bit wide. Not really. He keeps it on track.
The inside.
And I think Will got the pass right there, but is he gonna defend? He is defending. Joe sees that. Going around
now,
the
good
outside.
Move from Will. He has to cover the inside.
Yes, but I think Will got the move here. There's nothing from Joe he can do but tuck behind. Excellent overtaking.
Really the only overtaking place in this condition looks to be the heavy braking zone in the last sector after the long straight, which is not that straight, I will tell you that. There's a long right-hand corner that you do flat out, obviously, but it's so tricky to get right under these mixed wet, dry conditions. We don't see any dry line yet, so the track is effectively wet. So whoever went for the dry tires, which I don't know if anyone did, but that was a bad call.
And it looks like Michael Labelle is all the way behind GT cars, and I think he suffered damage or something that had him to pit or something because he's all the way behind the GT cars, which is doesn't look good for him. As we see Andrew Harper 3 tenths behind Thomas Holzel as they go flat out in the corner that Lorenzo just talked about. There is a straight line. If you tuck into the split stream, make sure you get the inside, probably the outside if you can keep it around that, as it looks like Andrew did not get that move again, but he's still close. He still have a chance in those upcoming laps.
Very close.
Indeed. It's raining, and look, the sky looks clear. Maybe like it rained and it's stuck, because it's not raining right now as we see.
This is actually for the top 5 in LMP2, so this is a great battle now.
And
as we see now, Carl Middleton,
he almost had a move on Jason. He almost had a move on him.
It's been 2 laps now since Carl has put the pressure on Jason, but we know Jason is a great driver. and he's not gonna give that place back anytime soon.
I think Jason made a mistake because last time we saw him, he was fighting with Tawny, and I think he's now 1.7 seconds. Probably he locked up, or something might have happened that led him to slow down a little bit, which gave the room for Carl Middleton to get that split stream and possibly attack him in that straight that we just saw earlier.
Yeah, the guy on fire though is Caligari. He made a move on Middleton as well. We didn't see that, but Will Caligari is ahead of Middleton.
He's targeting
already.
John right now.
He's all over John Vegas for top 5 in GT class. Now Will Caligari on the move. He's literally been on fire. I think him and Johnny Gutierrez really in P2 class are the guys that are really on the move at this stage.
And when you were not here, he did not qualify. He all started from the back of the grid, all the way at the back, and made up his position now.
He is so much faster. Look at how much he's gaining on John under...
he's in P6. They're fighting right now for P5.
Look, John Rodriguez had to go wide
Johnny
there
with
to
a great
the
defense
inside.
right there. He still have the inside right here. Is Will gonna see that they go side by side a little bit. Will gives the room,
Oh, John
keeps it fair. He squeezed
job.
it, but they kept it both on the track, which is good to see. Is John gonna defend here? He can, but looks like Will sees it, goes a little bit for it. John doesn't defend. He takes the inside.
And John closes the door.
He did not actually. He gave
But
him
he
the
goes
room.
wide.
He goes wide, but he still had the inside for that double apex or triple apex right there. Will sees that. He will have to slow down a bit. Doesn't want to. He keeps that fight right there with John. Side by side.
This is great racing.
Oh my lord. Oh my lord.
We'll have to back off there because there's no way you can do that.
There's no way, but he can get that inside line hand, or he can wait for a good exit, but he doesn't want to. He just wants that P5 as John goes wide right there. I think that is it. And it looks like Lewis Middleton sees that and can get the best of it and puts John into the clear target. Great racing for the battle of fifth.
It doesn't get any better than this with two guys giving absolutely no inch.
I mean, we have 4 cars, Lorenzo. 4 cars.
Just
1 second.
Enough room to make it to that.
And look at this, Lewis around the inside.
Up the inside. He
Clean
overtook him
move.
before the braking zone.
Oh my God, I said Hamilton, man. Lewis Middleton literally did a great move, got it perfectly done, timed up perfectly his braking, and got that move from John. But John is not giving up, goes a little bit wide, gives. But I like the respect going on. They give that space when needed, and no one gets greedy to get that position just because they're side by side, which I really like to watch.
No, this is great racing.
Indeed.
And it may be early to say this, but if you guys want to be part of this, just check our friends at simracingonline.co.uk. They have many series on many sim racing games, and you might want to be part of the community because they're great guys and we love them. So,
as we see John still on the fight, does not want to give up on his position that he lost from Will and gave the opportunity to Lewis Middleton to take that position. And Joe Brown is right behind them. This is getting intense.
This is getting really intense, and John is trying. He must have been saving fuel these few laps. Maybe it's strategy, or because John is not loud.
He lost a lot of places, Lorenzo.
Yes, he's holding back at this stage, but let's see. The race is too long, more than 1 hour left. And I think Tony has now got 6 seconds to Johnny Gutierrez. So Johnny steadily gaining on the entire LMP2 field.
Yeah, looks like Joe Brown is looking for it, Lorenzo, right here. Oh, he did not commit.
Yeah. Nah, it's too far back for now.
Yeah, it's too far, but a good...
will have a chance now up the straight.
Yes, a good exit could give you that. As Carl Middleton now, it looks like John is going to take the position from Carl Middleton.
Oh man, that's so dangerous though in the right-hander. Look at this. John now wanting that place back, and he's in the draft as we see the first
Oh,
LMP1,
John is looking out the inside. Is he going to go for it? He is a little bit behind. Joe Brown knows that. This is so close, bumper to bumper racing right there. Joe is like seeing those. I think what Joe can do is let the guys battle and take opportunities from whenever he sees a chance. It's an endurance race, still 1 hour and 16 minutes to go with rain. Will happen shortly.
The spray has gone away, so the track is drying out, and it's drying out fast as we see yellow flag in sector 2 there. We're not sure who is involved, but yeah, yellow flag will show for a few seconds.
Sure, as Jen's rules is only 7/10 behind Barrett Exxon, who himself is 6/10 behind Arnold Coach. And they're only split by Michael Labelle. He's way far behind his pack. He's within the GT cars between Joe and Arnold. And Arnold is not that far.
Yeah, we saw him briefly in the previous shot. There he is in the red LMP2.
Yes, that is correct. Something must have happened to him.
Yeah, probably maybe an earlier spin in the first lap. We saw somebody get very, very offline in the formation lap, actually. We don't know who that was, but maybe he collected some contact there.
Oh, Joe Brown is getting close. He is getting close. He's looking for it into that double apex. I think he should tuck in. As John, it looks like John is suffering. Looks how much time he lost to Lewis Middleton. Almost now 1.6
John,
seconds.
especially in this fast section, the Ferrari just does not.
Oh, John on the outside. He takes John from the inside. Can he hold it?
How long before the corner that happened? John really having to, he has to sort out this problem because he's losing so much time.
Yeah, but don't take him out of the equation, Lorenzo. He's still behind that split stream. He's not going to make it easy for Joe, as Joe has to defend here. Is he defending? No. Is John going to commit to it and probably send it through the inside? Doesn't. Decides to stick behind Joe for one more lap. They're getting close to... Indeed, as they're getting close, it looks like the track is dried up. No more spray.
Yes, it dried up in the space of 2 laps, literally. So maybe temperature going up, and that's making the Ferrari suffer a little bit.
Indeed.
Now, Johnny Gutierrez has, I think, is gaining steadily still. So amazing pace.
Yeah.
And he has doubled he's already doubling the lapping the GT field.
And
so
he had a lot of traffic.
Gutierrez on a cracking pace this first 15 minutes of the race. If this is his pace for the entire race, man, we're gonna see an heroic drive from Johnny.
I mean, Tony is getting close, but he got traffic. Can he dispatch these traffic as quickly as possible?
And a yellow flag. Maybe Johnny Gutierrez collected somebody in the GT field. We see Nigel Middleton going very slowly.
It's like I think it was an issue between the GT cars. From Tony Aslo, we see it is stacked up and bunched up between cars.
Let's watch an onboard. Can we go to an onboard?
Oh my God! Tony gets hit by a GTE. Doesn't lose it somehow. Keeps it on track. Very much surprised.
He got away with that. He really got away with that. But the GT cars need to be careful because that was a bad move from Jens Rose.
It was Jen Rose.
He didn't realize that the LMP2 car was side by side. So it's so difficult to pay attention to everything in this type of racing. The GT cars being all bunched up and battling for position. So Jens Rose really probably didn't see.
Look how many cars there are. Look how many cars. How do you even count that?
Now Jason Whitehead is going to have
goes
to
a
deal
little
with
wide.
this.
Jason Whitehead trying to clear those traffic. Looks like the P2.
And he's also Jason Whitehead is actually under pressure from.
Nigel Middleton is also behind that Ferrari.
Middleton.
Is he gonna go on the inside as he blocks a little bit? Carl, not intentionally. Carl will have to go with a touch.
Outside and there's another contact.
They touch again. That is.
Yeah, yes, Bruce, and now Nigel Middleton has made the move stick.
Yes.
Now, Samir is slowly making his way up the field.
He is indeed. He is not far behind us. We see the cars stacked up, bunched up. We can't even keep up with this.
This actually plays.
And John John goes to pit.
Samir.
John
must
pitting.
have had a contact. I think Johnny Gutierrez hit Van de Gas slightly when he was lapping him.
It looks
I'm
like,
pretty sure of that.
From that collision,
we cut away from the lapping maneuver just before the contact.
Yeah, but Tony he's now 11 seconds behind Johnny, but he's catching up. So you could be right. Maybe Johnny collected some damages. We see Tony goes around Carl Middleton right there.
That was a nice move.
That was a nice move, but I think the GT cars can make use of these lap-in cars because you can work it for you, not against you. So
yes, and that's what Samir has been doing. He gained about 3 to 4 seconds on Middleton to bring it back to a nice gap. So let's see what happens now. Carl Middleton, the LMP2 car, we believe had some contact in that very chaotic section.
Arnold is speaking, man. Here he's speaking. He's trying to get that inside as they have P2 cars behind him. It's gonna. Oh, Joe goes a little bit wide there. not off track completely, but Arnold does and Joe does
Look at
too.
this.
That's gonna be a cut from the game. It will
Oh,
be
and he
given.
rejoins. That's so dangerous.
They are
Joe
side by
Brown on the
side,
inside,
but
and
Joe
surely
looks
he's
like
gonna make the mistake.
Joe got better braking, but
But Arnold,
he,
good
that's
comeback right there.
a nice switcheroo from Arnold. Coach, side by side. He's gonna touch the grass a little bit. Can they keep it through this flat out corner without touching?
He's on the outside. It's so difficult to
Yes.
keep the car flat out.
They're side by side.
And he's now got the advantage up the inside.
It's a
but
matter who's gonna break first, and it looks like Arnold decided to keep a
Good
little bit, but
braking
Joe
zone, but
picks
the
him
Porsche
around
is
the inside
stronger.
again, and they have B2 cars behind them. Are they gonna touch there? Oh my God, they did! They did! They did!
And Craig Jones gets the worst of it.
Oh my God!
But look at this, cars all over the place.
All over the place. Indeed, I can't keep up, Lorenzo.
This is actually. There's two ways you can look at this. This is either a commentator's dream or a commentator's nightmare.
It is a driver nightmare for sure. I'll tell you that. As we see Jason
and
White,
White is off the track.
he's off the track. He's almost gonna lose the
He was
position.
so
He
lucky
did.
not to hit the wall there.
He was indeed.
It's so easy to get offline because the track is wet. There's a dry line, but the track is wet overall. So if you get outside the ideal line, you're gonna get probably. It's like driving on ice, really. So you need to be careful to this condition.
He didn't lose control either, which is a good plus.
Well, great driving.
no
great
damage.
great piece of driving. But now, Will Caligari.
Will Caligari is targeting.
Right up the rear end of David Capruzzi now. As Tony Talvicia comes to lap them.
Yeah, I mean, Will sees that he can make use of this as the
and
LMP2
Tony
car.
was compromised
Yes, it
there
will
by
make
the
David
Porsche.
go
This
wide.
plays terrifically into Will Caligari's and
Yes,
is
this could
now
work for him,
up
but
the
looks like
outside.
he closed the door right there.
Yeah, that was the.
He's not showing any mercy, David. As we see the best lap set up by Pastor.
Elbows out. Now protecting the inside. Will goes for the outside.
Oh, they're side by side going on right here. Looks like David is gonna lock up a little bit as he.
Part of the track is not gonna be able to hold Will Caligari for long. I think.
They're still side by side. Technically, the pass is still not done, but Will have the inside for the next corner.
Great piece of driving there by the American driver. The gold Porsche now Middleton coming up to lap them.
I mean, Will climbed up from the last position to P3 right now. He's 23 seconds behind
He's up into
Giuseppe.
the podium places already in less than 25 minutes.
What an amazing job by...
Now Jason Whitehead, and already is on the limit. He's been on the limit ever since the race started.
He almost collected Will right there, but I think because the advantage to P2 caused the power, and I think that saved the situation right there.
They also have a lot of downforce, but Jason Whitehead driving the absolute limit of the car, and as we see, he's somehow surpassing it in a few corners. Look, it's all over the place there.
He might have front diffuser damage.
Yeah, he might have front end aerodynamics damage.
Yeah,
his car looks loose under braking.
It does, as Barrett Ericsson is targeting Lewis Middleton
Barrett Ericsson
right now.
is quietly keeping it cool in P6 and now harassing P5. So, as we said, Barrett Ericsson is a quiet driver in the races. He doesn't overdo it, but is very effective. I'll tell you that.
I mean, it's a triple threat for the 5th place by Joe, Barrett, and Middleton right now.
And Barrett is the guy who actually can afford to relax because he's leading. And now he goes for the inside.
I think he was hustling his mirrors, trying to show that he is there, but that sure was not a wise
Joe Brown
move.
got an amazing run of the
inside there,
but
he compromised his position, Barrett Ericsson, and Lewis goes wide a little bit there. Are we gonna see a 3 wide, Lorenzo? No, it's still 2 wide between Lewis Middleton.
So. I think Barrett has the upper hand there.
Almost a 3 wide. It is a 2 wide, but Barrett.
Lewis Middleton on the wet part is now.
They touch.
No, Joe Brown, they touch.
They touch indeed.
Oh my goodness! Now Joe Brown is ahead, but he will look for the inside there of the hairpin in the heavy braking zone. Barrett Ericsson keeping the car at the center of the track, and that's good because that's the way to defend.
They're side by side, Joe Brown and Barrett Ericsson. Carl Middleton,
braking so
this is close.
And just managing to stop the car. Amazing piece of driving there.
He goes to the pit.
And he's speeding. That's.
And he crashed. He crashed in the pit.
Amazing. That's amazing.
That will lose him a lot of time, Lorenzo.
For sure.
He will lose a lot of time there for sure. Wow, what an unfortunate
Oh man,
situation for Lewis
drama,
Middleton.
drama in the first half an hour. This is
Indeed.
a great racing, by the way.
Indeed. That's Craig is only 1 second. Oh, he was in the pit. The
As we
timesheet.
see Jones, Craig Jones, the car that was involved in the crash earlier on in the last corner with the GT car in the pits, probably fixing damage as well. It was P5 when he went into the pit. Now P5 has been awarded to Holthel, who has been a really consistent driver in the last few races. We have seen him run up to the podium places a couple of times, but then he had some misfortune in Road America, especially. So this field is on a great level. I'll tell you that these drivers are very precise in what they do. They get elbows out sometimes, as we have seen in this 25 minutes of racing. But overall, the level of this league is very, very high, and there's so much respect between all the drivers. And it's really amazing to see. And Samir almost loses it there. A great
Yeah, looks like
control.
he's trying his best to get past Alberto, the battle for the ninth place. They're only
Yeah, probably
less
had
than a
a wash
second.
up when Alberto changes line. So maybe a few.
Well, so Lorenzo, John DNF'd. He did not finish.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, what an unfortunate news for John van der
That's
Gest.
that's really a
And Neil
huge blow
Tasker
for the
too.
championship.
He did not finish.
So something could have happened maybe between these guys.
Because I saw a yellow flag when you were mentioning Tanner Selby. There was a yellow flag for a long time. Could have been a crash that possibly took out both of the cars. Unfortunately, the
Well,
replay function
nonetheless,
isn't
this
working.
elevates Arshad to P10, and this actually is a huge blow for John Van der Gest's hopes for a championship, because now Barrett Ericsson is P6 and really harassing P5, as we were saying before, and he could afford to really slow down a little bit, if you don't mind me saying so, because this is
Yeah,
looking good for his championship for now.
it does indeed. As we see Barrett trying to pick that inside from. It looks like Joe Brown and Barrett Erickson are on a feud. I mean, a respectful rivalry, but they're not. They're not ready to give up any position for
I
any other.
tell you what, Joe Brown and Barrett Erickson, they were the main contenders in Patras round two. Unfortunately, Joe Brown had a spin and collected some damage to the front end, so he was not able to bring the fight to the end. But Barrett Erickson and Joe Brown, we have seen these two go at each other on the racetrack many, many times. Nonetheless, huge respect between the guys. As we now see, Johnny Gutierrez is kind of chilling. He's now 9.5
I mean,
seconds over Tony Salvici.
he's calmly sitting in the lead. He just needs to execute his strategy, not to get any dramatic with the lapped cars and keep it on track. But Tony is still only 10 seconds, so he's technically not out of the race yet, as it's only
Yeah,
1 hour left.
and if you take into account the fact that Tony has had some pretty bad luck with the timing of the lapping maneuvers, because and Will Caligari is in the pits as well. That's a critical decision.
Yeah, let's see where that's gonna put him when he exits, as he built up all those places. But now, since it's time to pit, this is where the critical stuff happens, and where you need to know what tires you should be on. As we see, Joe Brown
Oh,
does
and
a little bit
Barrett
of
Erickson.
contact with Barrett Erickson, and Jen Rose is watching things ahead of him. This battle is not over yet.
No, it's not. And now Jens Roos just, scratching his hands really behind these guys, because he's now watching probably the two fastest cars on the track, as because Will Caligari is in the pits. Now Jens Roos has to take the opportunistic way and wait for these two to have a battle, and trying to stick the nose of the Ferrari behind them, between them.
I should mention though
The
that Lorenzo, that Jens Rose is in second place in the championship with only
Yeah,
20
that's
points
what I'm talking
behind.
about.
So he sees Barrett
He needs
Erickson
to
ahead of him.
harass Barrett Erickson.
He
He
needs
needs to
to.
keep
He
applying the
has to.
pressure.
And let's see if he can handle the pressure of keeping the car behind, and also try not to overdo it, because that could
If you
lead to a
Yes, and if
demise.
you take a careful look at Jens Roos driving, he's slowing down before the main straights, so that if contact happens between the two guys in front of him in the heavy braking zone, he's able to have a breathing space to avoid and do not collect damage.
That's a very
That's a
smart
smart
move by
from
Genrose.
Jester.
Very smart move as we...
That demonstrates you the level that these drivers have reached. Look at
Yes.
this. Now Bert Eriksson has backed off a little bit. Maybe Joe Brown got a good exit out of
Yeah,
the
Jones goes a little
triple.
bit wide there, but still keeps it on track. This is the part where you get the most passes because it's strong, long. Did I say strong? It's a long straight where you get all the split
Sorry to
stream.
interrupt you, Nas, but Jason Whitehead is all over Hosel for P4 in LMP2. Now, they were battling. Look at Jason. He's now being compromised by Arnold Cutter, but nonetheless, this is for position, guys. This is the closest battle in P2. Let's follow this as well, because Jason Whitehead, we have seen him really trying to control the Oreca car in this mixed condition. Thomas is right there in front of him, so this is going to drive Jason to the fullest, try and get that car in front of him. Look at the grip that this car is
he's struggling to keep that car.
Out corners.
Because look at the dry
Really
line,
great to
Lorenzo.
watch.
There's still water on the sides, but it's getting that dry line is
you need
getting
to
wide
be
and wide.
careful.
It is getting wider indeed, and look at that. There's
And
still...
also one thing that these drivers cannot do is arrest the curbs, because the curbs collect many liters of standing water, so that's a death trap. And we see Will Caligari now.
Yeah, this the battle for the fourth place just got...
again.
It's a quadruple fight for the fourth place between Jens, Barrett, Joe, and Will. But Jens Rose needs to stick with Barrett. He needs to keep his lines correctly, not miss those apex, not
and
locks
also,
up.
if I was Jens, I would not fight Will, because Will is not an opponent in the championship as of now.
Indeed,
so,
he should not. He should shift the focus to the guy ahead of him. And if
yes,
Will is...
But I also think that Will actually keep out of the fight, because these guys in front of him are all yet to pit, and Will made his pit stop about 2 minutes ago, before the 1 hour threshold. So it's really interesting on strategy-wise, as we now see Whitehead falling a little bit back.
He's falling back for some reason.
Compared to Thomas.
Which is not looking good, because you don't take advantage of that split stream and the straight lines. You also need to be close so that when anything wrong happens, which we should not wish, but let's say something happens, he gets the advantage of that too. As we see Michaela Bell and Tanner Selfie. He's lapped. He's Thomas was
lapped. Michaela Bell is struggling this today. He probably had.
And Tanner is DNF'd. Lorenzo,
damage.
My God.
Oh no, that's a
shame.
Unfortunate. That's a great shame. Tanner was up to the.
I think he had a PC issue because his car like popped. He had like some hardware issues, or maybe connection. Who knows? As we see Alberto only 4/10 behind Nigel Middleton. Is he gonna dig that inside? He's looking for it.
Johnny Gutierrez did a great job with dispatching these guys before the end of the straight. Now, Alvarez has made good progress and also exploited a few retirements to get up P9. We didn't expect him to be this fast, I'll tell you that.
For sure. Sabir Arshad is battling with Alvarez for the battle of 8th, and
yes, he's been very conservative. Samir is playing the opportunistic part for now,
which would be very smart for an endurance race. But it's 57 minutes to go now, and I think they have one more pit.
Start making moves now.
Exactly, you need to think about making moves and getting things right, and passing as much as like we see that the drivers not able to keep it a little bit together when it's too much, but which is understandable, but you still have to keep your head down, especially if something like you lock up or something. Your next corner should be the best corner you ever did to recompensate on what you did wrong on before. Would you agree, Lorenzo?
Well, for sure. Now we see yellow flag in sector 1, so I'm not sure what's happening there.
As Tony passes Samir.
Oh, Whitehead spun. Whitehead made a mistake because he's now falling back more than 12 seconds.
He's having a lot of trouble, Lorenzo. He's having a...
Yeah, he has looked like that for the entire race, so maybe he collected damage at the beginning of the race. He probably had a spin or went wide. Look at that. The car looks so unstable.
And what happened to William?
To really fight the steering wheel.
Did William drop places? Or maybe not?
Yes, he did. You're right, he's P10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10.
what happened to William, because he was fighting with behind. He was behind Jen Rose, if I was correct. But now he's behind Samir. As we see Samir going for a move from the outside,
On
and
the
he
outside,
gets it
great
right,
move there by Samir. Great
which
move.
opens the door
On
for
the
William
outside.
too. As Alberto has to
So-
defend, he has the P2 car. He can use that for his advantage, because William is not side by side with him. For now, is he gonna open that inside?
Denying the LMP2 car
He
for
is
as long as he
denying.
can and locking up.
Going side by side. William likes to go side by side with the drivers, and they
There's
touch.
a slight contact there.
A small contact by Alvarez. Looks like he was not aware that he was there, which is a mistake from Alberto, but nonetheless, they still kept it on track, which is a great thing.
Johnny Gutierrez is in the pits, by the way. Johnny Gutierrez, the leader in the pit lane, as much as Jason Whitehead. So Jason Whitehead probably collected with Will Caligari while laughing him. We will check later what happened. Jason Whitehead probably pitting for fuel, tires, and maybe damage. Johnny Gutierrez with a comfortable lead, still theoretically, because Tony Kovic inherited the lead very recently, and he now needs to push to try and cut the gap down.
As we go to the straight line, Lorenzo, where most of the passes has been done so far in this race, as we have lapped cars.
Oh man!
And well,
Look at the LMP2 guys.
Yeah, they're making this is getting crowded. Is he gonna go through that inside?
Too far back.
Really, but looks like, oh my god, they're gonna touch. They almost touched.
Struggling. Look at the Porsche. Looks to be very, very strong under braking. This guy is Alvarez pitting, I think. No, maybe not. No, he was just protecting the inside, but Will Caligari has got the run now.
They're side by side. Looks like he's gonna have the inside corner next, Lori. And Samir too is making that move we see ahead. He's trying to peek that inside.
Samir having a look.
I think it's gonna be a move done by William, as we also Samir ahead trying to fight the guys. This is a great battle for the 7th place between these guys. Put in a great show.
It's now interesting to see where Gutierrez will emerge, because if he's lucky with the last car,
he will on the P7. He's taking a lot of time on that pit lane.
Yes, more than 2 minutes. Look at that.
Yes, he get passed by GT cars now. Not looking great. And I think he's fixing damage.
Yeah, maybe he is. Or maybe he's serving a penalty.
It could have been too, because we see a lot of people going wide on that.
That's
turn
almost
7,
3
I
minutes
believe.
of pit stop, man. That's really weird, considering Jason White had pitted at the same time than Johnny, and he's already out in P3. So maybe Johnny Gutierrez did get a penalty, in fact, for the start. Probably for jumping the procedure. I don't know. Maybe.
He might have.
And now Samir shot keeping Alvarez.
Oh, it looks like they go wide there
him.
too. Not sure how much time you can go wide before you get a penalty, but for sure you will get a penalty for going wide like that. As
Well, if you overuse it, and
yeah. Oh my God! Touches those sausages. Give the opportunity to Alberto to go side by side with him, which
and Samir could have collected floor damage.
He might have to. That's correct.
Will making a move there in front of them.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to go around the outside of Nigel Middleton. Can he pull out this lap? Not really, as Nigel closes that door, shuts it down. Looks like Will is in urge to get past these guys.
Yellow flag in sector 3, maybe something really has happened. Gutierrez has an issue, guys. He's been in the pits for almost 4 minutes now. He's 2 laps down.
He is 2 laps down. Not sure what's happening to Johnny Gutierrez. This is not looking great for him, as we see now.
I'm pretty sure he's serving a penalty for now.
He has to be the longest penalty I've ever seen.
You do not stay in the pits for that long, so Johnny Gutierrez's race now disintegrating literally into the pits. He's now last in class, and he was leading. Incredible luck for Johnny Gutierrez. And Will Caligari has overtaken Nigel finally.
Yeah, it looks like he got the move done on Nigel.
We should actually cut to Jens Roos. He's all over Barrett Eriksson. Those two guys are getting at it, the two championship rivals. Just barely a second between each other. Look at this.
Barrett Eriksson is still keeping it ahead of Jens, so technically he's fine. But he's still under fire, you know.
And Gutierrez is out of the pits finally after almost 5 minutes
Wow.
of pit stop.
I mean,
That's
it's a
so
relief for
long.
me. It's a relief that to see Gutierrez finally gets out, as he took the longest pit stop I've ever seen in so far in these
Yeah,
races.
this is quite remarkable. He's
It
not
has
gonna
to be
have to
damage.
redo it all over again.
He might have collected damage as he has a long way to go now to catch Tony, as Tony is 14 seconds ahead of Carl Middleton. I mean, they were not. The time was stable, almost constant between Tony and Joni. So unless Tony makes something wrong or do something wrong, then it will open the opportunity for Joni. But it's still an open race for anything to happen, as Carl Middleton is lapping slow cars trying to pass Didier Coelho, which he collected damage earlier in the race. Not sure if he fixed that or not. Looks like
Yes, he had an earlier spin in the second lap. He had front damage.
But the P2 class, Lorenzo, is spread out. There's not much going on right
Yes,
now.
it's very spread out. But basically, what they're trying to do now is managing the gaps as much as possible. As we see, Chris Middleton keeping Talvici inside the 20-second mark. Now, what you want to do in the P2 class is attack. I would, if I was Tony,
Yeah,
I
Rob Millen
would
goes wide
do
there.
a two-stopping strategy and attack, because the track is improving lap by lap. As we see yellow flags in sector 2. Not sure what's happening there. Probably somebody went. Maybe Jens Roos. No, Jens Roos is okay. Something must have happened to somebody.
Yeah, not sure what happened precisely.
No,
But there was a yellow sector
not really
happening.
clear.
A
Now
yellow
Roger
flag.
Hintz hesitating, passing Joe Brown, which has shown great pace. And look at this!
Oh my god. Roger Hintz is now waiting for anyone as Thomas is right behind him.
And he has to, because he needs to keep contact with Harper in front of him. That's for P6 in class, as they now see the leader, also the P3. Sorry, the guy in P3 lapping the guy in P5. So the LMP2,
because he's one lap
really,
down,
really
Lorenzo. That's why he has to unlap himself. Then this is gonna be a tricky race for Roger. He has to unlap himself to get himself into that battle ahead. Yes, as we see through the timesheet, he is one lap behind.
Yeah, it's 2 laps down regarding compared to Talvici in the lead. So yeah, it's. I think we are almost surprised, and we were surprised also in the previous races, of how much difference there is between the LMP2 cars, even though they're the same exact chassis. So probably a setup and strategy makes the difference here. And as we see Pastore, the guy in P2, the 99 car, cutting the gap to almost half of what it was before. So Nello Pastore now having to really get on with it. As we see Nigel Middleton,
Oh yeah, he lost the car there. That gave William the pass.
He was lucky to get away with that.
He was indeed.
And yeah, as I was saying, Pastore, the 99 car, the BMW, is now 5 seconds and gaining on the Ferrari number 51 in the lead of the GT field. So those are 2 guys that you guys wanna watch, because the gap is now down to 4.8 seconds. So yeah, that's pretty much the race for now. Now, Jens Roos, this is an amazing battle to watch. The 2 championship contenders having to go at each other on the track. Weather is getting weird as of now, because the sky has gotten dark for some reason. As we see now, Tony Talvici pitting, and Middleton as well. So that's critical for LMP2. That is really a critical moment in the race, because that's gonna change the strategy of many people. Let's watch Tony in the pit lane now. He's just getting out. Let's see where he ends up. He's gonna have to lap an awful lot of cars, but nonetheless, he's way ahead of Johnny Gutierrez. So Johnny probably was serving the penalty for the start. We're not sure yet. We will come back to you with some news. As we now see Arshad Samir on Alberto Alvarez trying to go around the outside. These two have been fighting ever since the race started. As we now reach the halfway point, Tony Talvicia here, the leader, he's now P2, but virtually the leader because Holsel has to pit, lapping them. Now Arshad is a rookie. This is his first race in the championship, and what a way to start! He's already in the top 10, so good way to get your first race in. Now, Pastore, the guy in P2 in GT class, Giuseppe Pastore, all over the Ferrari of Nello Pastore in P1, is now less than 2 seconds away. There they are. The car number 99, that yellow and black BMW, great car. And this is gonna get interesting as we now see Holsel, the race leader, and he inherited lead when Tony Talvice went into the pits. He's now pitting, so that's gonna change the race again. But let's follow these two because they're now the closest battle. As Giuseppe Pastore hounding the 51 car is now less than 1.5 seconds, in fact less than 1 second behind him. Talvice regains the lead. Middleton is P2 at the moment, so Holsel is gonna need to push hard to recatch the top 2. He's now getting out. Pit lane. There we see him. Now, I wonder what these two guys are on strategy-wise, because they have had some really pace differential throughout the first stint. They were at some stage they were 15 seconds apart from each other, as we see yellow flag in sector 2. Not sure what's happening, but probably Barrett Eriksson and Jens Roos, which are very close, maybe a bit of contact there. And that plays into the hands of Will Caligari, which is right behind them. So let's see what happened. The Golf Porsche all over Jens Roos there. This is actually for E6 in GT class. Now Will Caligari having a look. We will surely have a look in the braking zone. Jens Roos defending, trying to cover up the inside, while Tony Talvice on the outside of these guys, really making a good job of dispatching them. And Caligari made a stick, so Jens Roos not being able to respond at this stage. Caligari making his way through the top 6. Great racing by the American. Tony Talvice now lapping Barrett Eriksson. Barrett Eriksson, the championship leader, as now Nicola Pastore probably made a mistake, and we see Giuseppe having a look up the outside, and they almost touch. In fact, they did touch, I think, going into the slow last corner. Giuseppe Pastore having a look again. He needs to keep the Ferrari at bay at this stage because we know how fast the car is. Now he's got the line up the outside, but he will have the advantage in turn 2. Yes, that's a nice move there. So that's the first lead change in GT class ever since the race started. Nicola Pastore making a slight mistake out of the last corner, but he's not going to want to let that go unpunished. As we now see Will Caligari again hounding Barrett Eriksson. Look at this, he's going to have to defend in the next few meters. Barrett Eriksson calmly in P5, that's good for his championship. with Caligari with nothing to lose really, because this is his first race as well. In the championship, he's now got the line up the inside. Barrett Ericsson keeping him honest as they go side by side into the downhill section that brings us to the heavy braking zone, which has been the trend to overtake. With Caligari around the outside, that is ambitious. Barrett Ericsson really not putting up much of a fight as he now goes into the pits. Jens Roos has to push now to try and get 2 seconds off the gap. New best lap time was just recorded by the leader overall, Tony Talvisha, the number 54 LMP2 car with a 1:44.529. That's a cracking lap. As Gutierrez makes up a place because Labelle is into the pits. We'll see how that plays out. And Barrett Ericsson is still in the pits. So Jens Roos really having to push at this stage. I don't think he's really been able to exploit the strategy for now, because he's losing ground towards Will Caligari. With Caligari having only one thing on his mind, and that's Joe Brown's Porsche in front of him. So yeah, let's see how this unravels. Ericsson out of the pits, he re-emerged in P9 behind Arshad. I suppose Jens is gonna have to pit either this lap or the next one, so this is the closest fight for now strategy-wise, while on the track the closest guys between one another are Nicola and Giuseppe. And Giuseppe is still being able to keep Nicola at bay, even though the Ferrari is very, very fast. And now Giuseppe didn't make it way up that corner really well, and Nicola having a run up the inside in the right corner. That's so dangerous. This is some great side-by-side racing, and as they now go towards the braking zone with Caligari and Joe Brown also into the pits, so that's the race critical for both of those guys. Nicola around the outside, that has been a good line overall, but Nicola just being unlucky with the dry patch. The track looks to be getting quite... there may be rain coming again, because the track is wetter than it was before. Arshad Samir in the pits as well. Caligari just getting out, so that's a good strategy. He overtook Joe Brown into the pit lane. Yeah, there they are. They re-emerged with the switched position. So Will Caligari making that strategy work to the fullest. As Alvarez is yet to pit, Jens Roos is yet to pit as well. And yeah, for now, let's stick with Pastore because they're going at it really. Giuseppe having to weave around. He's now struggling to get the traction out of the right-hander. Nicola has to exploit these kind of situations because this is not going to last for the entire race. Now it goes for the outside there, but that's not gonna, Giuseppe now having to leave the space for Nicola to avoid any shunts. That's so easy to do here because the blind corners are really just around the corner. Now who's in the pits? So that leaves. He was really alone on his own in P3 with a great pace by the Italian driver. Pastore now still looking for the draft. This is great racing. As we see an LMP2 car outside of the track, that's gonna worry everyone. That's Johnny Gutierrez in P7. So Johnny really struggling at this stage. He's nowhere near P6. He's one lap down P6, so that 5-minute penalty really put a massive dent into his race. Now Giuseppe and Nicola both pit at the same time as Jens Roos also does. And yes, Will Caligari gaining a position, so he's now up to P4. Let's see what Barrett Eriksson comes up. Barrett Eriksson, the overall leader, is now going past the turn 2 mark, so Barrett Eriksson regaining P6 over Jens Roos, which has now come outside of the pit lane. So Barrett Eriksson really making the undercut work. And yeah, great piece of strategy by the driver. And we see Arshad Samir getting a penalty, probably for track limits. Or maybe he is sped up into the pit lane. Tony Talvice pitting again, so he may have collected damage in an earlier contact. And now Thomas Holtl inherited the lead again.
Well, Samir is serving a penalty, or he collected a penalty, it looks like. As the
Quite an interesting development. Tony Talvice pitting again. Middleton in the pits as well, but that's scheduled. And a really short pit stop as well, so that may have been a stop and go. Not sure of that. As
yeah, looks like
Nicola
that wide
Pastore
corner
is now falling back. He's almost 5 seconds behind Giuseppe.
Yeah, it looks like the whole field spread up, Lorenzo.
Struggling on the outlap.
The whole field spread up.
Because it's raining again, guys.
Oh, yes.
It's raining again. The dry line has disappeared, so the conditions deteriorating. So that's why the leaders were pitting again. So Talvice probably pitted for wet weather tires. Now, this has played into the hands of Caligari probably. And we shall see, because Nicola is 4 seconds behind Pastore now. Capruzzi way back, almost 80 seconds.
And Lorenzo, I saw that Samir collected the penalty.
Yes, he probably sped up into the pit lane, because he got that penalty right after he went into the pits. So maybe a pit limiter issue.
And the whole field spread up. Now everyone is on his own race now because it's raining. The whole field spread up.
Yes, now the rain has caught everyone out, and the leaders as well.
It looks
so
like
it's happened. It's actually a reverse situation than what we had before. Now the LMP2 cars are back together, if you want to say that. But the gaps were really huge in the first teams. Now back to about 20 seconds. And the closest battle is really for the lead in GT class between Pastore and Pastore, the two brothers, and Joe Brown with Will Caligari, barely 2 seconds from each other. Those are really the guys we should look out for, because at the moment the conditions have really mixed up everything.
Indeed, everyone has spread out, and maybe the P2 cars bunched up a bit and are stacking up little by little, but for the GT class, apart from few seconds, the whole field is spread up. I think the rain played a big role in changing the outcome of this race.
Sure did, and unfortunately for Samir, that's the end of the dream for a P10 top 10 finish. It doesn't really look like it's possible anymore, but it's now P13 and having to...
Yeah, I believe the car ahead of him.
Do it all over again.
Nigel is a lap ahead of him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. No, you're actually right. So Arshad may have lost many seconds into the pits.
Needs to unlap himself.
Labelle is finally retired. A really unfortunate race for him today. Probably collected damage at the beginning, as we said. The number 50 LMP2 car of Michel Labelle. So very unfortunate. Never want to see guys being compromised in lap 1. So it's how racing goes sometimes.
Indeed, Lorenzo. Things unfold, and the rain makes it very hard to predict when you're gonna pit because probably those who's watching who don't do sim racing much or racing in general much know that when it's raining you can technically still do a couple laps on the slicks before they actually become slow. So how many laps you can do will give you the advantage when you exit the pit, so it will determine whether you're ahead or behind. So
Yes, the
it's
crossover is really important to estimate. That's what a driver and also the pit wall has to do to actually make a prediction of when the crossover will begin and how hard it will hit the tire. And maybe that's the reason that Nicola Pastore is actually now regaining part of the gap that the leader in GT class had built after the pit lane, after the pit stop. While Will Caligari is actually struggling to cut the gap down towards David Capuzzi. So many things have changed. Thomas Opel making his way towards P2 in class is now 17 seconds behind Middleton. He needs to keep applying the pressure on lap time. As we see Gutierrez spinning, and that's so dangerous outside turn 1, which is a blind left corner.
as we
He was
cross the
so
30
lucky
minutes
to not
mark.
collect any more damage.
Yeah, he interfered the battle between Will and Joe, as Joe was uh, closing up on William for that
Yeah,
matter.
William probably had to take evasive action, maybe jumped on the brakes a little bit to avoid contact.
As
Great
we see yellow in
reflexes, not the
sector
less, from
1.
everyone involved.
It's yellow in
Look
sector
at the
1.
rain. This is now getting pretty intense.
Oh,
Oh,
that
and look at the
LMP2
P2
car.
cars.
It's Thomas.
That's Thomas also. Yeah, that's the guy we were talking about.
It is raining heavy.
Yeah, the track is now completely wet.
I mean, look at the P2 cars. They can't even get the pass on these corners because of the rain. They have to wait until the straight line, then build up that speed to pass the left cars.
It's actually estimated on based on physics that the grip you have with the rain is actually almost 10 times less than what you normally have under dry condition. That's due to the fact that it's so easy that the track creates an emulsion of water and liquid from the car, which really sticks to the asphalt and creates a possibility of aquaplaning. Now, Tony
Oh, the
Talvice,
battle for
that's
the
the
lead.
fourth time.
That's a
That's the
lapped car.
fourth
Rob Millen
time
is a
he's
lapped
been.
car.
Yes, but more
He has to
importantly, Tony
yield.
Talvice is in the pits again. That's the fourth time he's been in the
What is
pits in the last
happening?
5 or 6 laps. So now Middleton inherits the lead again. Tony Talvice, I'm not sure what's going on, but he surely has issues.
It was a quick bit. Maybe it was a penalty serve, and he served his penalty probably.
And that's the battle for the overall lead.
It is a
Now
battle for the
Middleton
lead.
and Tony Talvice, look at that.
We were expecting Johnny to fight Tony, but turns out Carl came out of nowhere as he goes wide a little bit there. Opens up. Why did he handle to Tony? Wow. Looks like he gave him on a golden plate right there.
Probably
Could be
had.
that
Yeah, look at how he's falling back as well. So maybe Middleton on the wrong set of tires. Maybe they went for intermediates and now it's raining and you need full wet. That's the reason why Gutierrez is pitting again, maybe.
could be, but
As we
looks like
see now, Nicola Pastore, the guy in P2 in GT class, all over the leader as well. So many things are raveling fast.
oh, Giuseppe
Once
almost
again.
lost it there.
Yeah, he's driving. Look at that.
As we have yellow in sector 1.
Yeah, many cars going probably wide due to the fact that the conditions are worsening.
Yeah, the rain is deep. I mean, the P2 class is stacked up right now between Jason, Thomas
Yeah,
Carl,
3
and
cars in the
Tony.
space of 15 seconds. Actually, 4 cars. Let me correct that. Jason Whitehead gaining a huge amount of time towards the top 3 runners.
What a great job by Jason, as he had a lot of issues in the early stages of the race. As Nicola goes a little bit wide there, might have got a penalty from that. People, the drivers needs to be a little bit careful, especially it looks like one of the most corners where people go wide a lot.
Yeah, because that's one of the corners where you can really harass the curves on the outside, and with the rain, you maybe overestimate it. Now Nicola
Oh,
goes
Nicola
up
side by
around the
side, he gets
outside.
past Giuseppe for that lead. Nicolas
Yeah, but
leading the
Giuseppe
GT
is not gonna
class.
get that easily.
For sure, he
He
won't let that.
now tries
Are
to
they
get
gonna?
around up the
Is he gonna
inside.
defend? He's
Nicola
not
weaving
defending
around.
Nicola as opens the bid for Giuseppe to goes on the inside. Nicola goes a little bit
Nicola's
wide,
wide.
locks up. Oh, he lost that position. He almost had it in that, as he could have defended there and kept his position, but maybe he didn't want to risk locking up. And
Middleton in the pits in P2 class. Incredible. I told you he was on the wrong set of tires.
wow, very
And
unfortunate.
now Jason Whitehead, look at how much time he's gaining. He's now less than a
Jason Whitehead
second
is fighting
towards Thomas
for
Halsall in
P2.
P2. So Jason Whitehead, probably the guy who predicted the rain would be so heavy, and he's now on the right set of tires. Look at
Oh,
the
Thomas
difference.
lost it and
Thomas
they
is
touch.
around.
Oh my God, they
And they
touch.
might have hit each other there.
They touched.
Maybe this is amazing. Now Jason Whitehead may have got away with that, but he's now 20 seconds behind Tony Talvice, which somehow seems to get away with it every time.
Looks like Jason was waiting for that rain to shine, as he's driving a magnificent driving right now in that rain. It wasn't his mistake, because Thomas lost the back end and Jason had nowhere to go. They touched a bit, but I don't think they made a lot of damage.
Yeah, there's no way you can do those four left-handers flat out like you do in the dry conditions. You now have to really measure the throttle and the steering input as well. As I said, it's so easy to lose the tires on the wet surface. Now the wet surface with only water is not that difficult to handle, but since these are race cars, it's so easy that they will lack fluid at some stage in the race because they're made.
Oh, Craig
Craig
lost it!
Jones
Oh my
going off the
God,
wall.
collected damage on that wall.
That's so dangerous as well because he crossed the track after hitting the wall.
Wow, that's very bad news for Craig, as he was looking at Carl Middleton. He was not that far from behind. Now he's dropped to 4 seconds. He was only...
Yeah, but look at the rain. Now it's really heavy.
Rain is
You're
hitting
gonna have
hard
to
and
really
the drivers
be
cannot...
easy on the throttle and the brakes as well. And then goes
again there.
onto the grass. That's not what you want to do under these conditions.
Craig is not having
Jason
a wonderful
Whitehead
time.
cutting the gap to almost 10 seconds now to Tony Talvice. Tony Talvice is starting to feel the pressure as Nicola Pastore just 3 tenths behind Giuseppe. These two guys have been on fire the entire time. His race deteriorated probably due to the fact that he was on the wrong set of tires. His timing in the pit lane was very, very unfortunate.
Oh, we have yellow in sector 1. I wonder what was happening. Not a long yellow.
I have no idea, but probably Jason Whitehead spun. Yes. Thomas Halsall now inherits P2 class. I mean, I'm jinxing it for them, maybe.
No way, that was an absolute jinx from Lorenzo.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Jason, but you need to be careful in this condition.
I don't want to say it, but that was a direct missile from Lorenzo straight to Jason's basement.
Yes.
As he, the poor guy was was 10 seconds behind Tony. Now, he's not that far. He's about 30 seconds, so technically he's still in the podium, so it's not a bad thing, as he was really having a bad time in the first part of the race, as he goes a little bit wide.
Hey, look at that. There's no grip whatsoever.
Yes, the rain, and when it hits you, it's just impossible to predict. Not sure if the R-Factor simulates water puddles. From one of my friends told me it doesn't.
You know what the interesting part of this is now? That, the prototypes, for the way they are constructed, they produce less mechanical grip than the GT cars actually do. And in this condition, what you can really exploit is downforce. Now,
but
in the rain...
It's side by side, Lore, for the first place. Nicola and Giuseppe.
Same story as before. Nicola has no way of overtaking on the outside of this condition. You've got to aim for the inside there. Now, as
This,
I was saying, the LMP2 cars do not have maximum exploiting from the downforce in this condition. You cannot exploit the full potential of the aero package that you have, while the GT cars, as Nicola now
oh, it
goes
goes
off
over
the
the inside. They
inside,
touch
as
a
I
little bit.
told him
Looks,
to,
he forced that.
Giuseppe
He
is
forced
forced
it.
wide.
I think he forced him a little bit. Maybe he was locking up. Is he gonna? I think
Yeah,
he's
and he
giving him the
gives the
position
position
back.
up.
I think he
That
gave
was
him
a
the
good
position back,
sportsmanship.
Lorenzo. Yeah, that was a great sportsmanship, handing the position back because Nicola kind of forced it. I mean, he knows he had the pace. Maybe they're on equal performance right now, but Nicola has that little bit of an edge, so he needs to find those places where he has better exits to get that overtake clean. Because he knows Giuseppe is fast as well, so you gotta be careful with when you're fighting, especially in these very, very tricky conditions, and it's raining and
But
raining.
you know what? You know what? They are actually very, very, very much safe from the guy in P3 as Nicola now goes up the inside again. The guy in P3 is David Capruzzi and he's 90 seconds, almost 90 seconds behind these two.
My
So,
God, look at these guys, Lorenzo. Look at these. Giuseppe
oh,
goes
and
wide on the
Giuseppe
double
almost out
apex.
of the track and Nicola says, thank you very much.
It's not over. It's not over. As Giuseppe goes on, they both
Oh,
go wide.
man.
I think Nicola
Nicola
will
has
get
to
a.
be careful though. He's gonna get
He might get a
penalized for that
penalty
if he
for
keeps
that.
doing that.
He should be extra careful. This battle is far, far from over. It is not gonna get. I hope it ends in clean and no
These two
crashing.
guys have given no inch to each other whatsoever. They have been on fire the entire time. And now Nicola, look at that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. As we see the rain, it's 20% rain and it's 90% maximum. But it's only 20% rain and 20 degrees Celsius. As we hit the 20-minute mark of this endurance race, a 92-minute race, these guys are on a mission to get that win. This is the battle for the first position.
Now Jason Whitehead is all over Thomas Holzel again. Less than 2 seconds. Look at that. So Jason Whitehead has so much more pace at this stage, or maybe Holzel has been compromised by some lap cars.
So I
Maybe,
think the
I don't
damage,
know.
I
Look
think
at
the damage,
Whitehead
yeah,
drifting the car.
he is taking it sideways for sure, but
You don't see that every day. A
you do
prototype
not.
sideways like that. Great piece of driving by Jason Whitehead.
There's nothing much happening on the backfield besides Rob Millen with 2.3 seconds behind Samir. But Samir looks like he
He
needs.
looks very much in control of Rob
He
Milliken.
looks, yeah,
Rob
indeed.
Milliken
Looks like he's
has not
mastering
been
the
able
rain.
to understand the setup of the car. Probably, I'm not sure, but he looked on the back foot in Road America as well. Nonetheless, being near the top 10 is what you want to do. Starting getting results.
And
So
Jason Whitehead is getting closer. He's looking for that inside of Thomas,
look
side
at
by
that.
side, going for that long sweep in that corner. With you can do it flat out, but side by side in the rain, you have to lift. As we see, Jason lifts a little bit, as we see from the track side. We don't have cameras within, but we can see from here, even though it's a little bit hard to see what's going on. Looks like Jason Whitehead goes a little bit wide there, which might open the doors for Thomas to take that, but looks like Jason got the job done. What a race, Lorenzo.
Yeah, this is a great race. I mean, you don't really get to see almost 1.5 hours of close racing like this,
I mean, you think
unless the quality of the drivers is this high. So, really props to all the drivers involved in this amazing event. And if you wanna be part of this great piece of racing, go check SimRacingOnline.co.uk. They have many series going on many sims, not only R Factor 2. And yeah, have a crack at it. Go break some eggs.
indeed Johnny
Johnny Gutierrez
Gutierrez.
outside the track.
Yeah, he's 1 lap behind, almost 2 laps
Nah,
behind
his
the
race is
leader.
done. He's now P7 and probably
Not
is
a
1 lap
great race for
down towards
Johnny.
P6. So I think he must now just bring the car home, I guess, and
I mean, there is a chance. It's
focus on
16
the
minutes,
next one.
but the chance still has to unlap himself because the guy ahead of him is not almost, but he is a lap ahead of him. So little bit tricky there to.
Oh, and White has made the move on Holsel. White is in P2.
Wow.
White is in second position now.
White is on fire. He's trying to get from what he made a mistake earlier. He's trying to correct his mistakes, but he's 36 seconds and dropping down. Will it be enough? As we are only 16 minutes to go. Not sure if that's going to be enough, but Tony needs to keep the car on track and not make a single mistake, because that could put Jason right behind his bumper, which would expose him for that battle of the wind, which is not a great thing in the rain. You need to be on your own, as we see Rob Millen on the side right there.
Look, I'm jinxing everyone today. I'm literally jinxing everyone.
Looks like Lorenzo is shooting missiles.
On the track. I swear I did not make any bets on this race, I can tell you that.
But I can tell you that the commentator curse is a thing, and I'm witnessing it right now.
I'm the Gianfranco Mazzoni of today. Looks like. If you don't know who Gianfranco Mazzoni is, go look it up. That's good culture. And and now we go back to serious stuff. Harper all over Craig Jones for P5 in the prototype class. Oh, and look at that. Absolutely no grip outside the corners.
I mean,
people really need to be careful with these cars.
The rain is very unpredictable, as the understeer can start and build up very quickly, which will be very hard for you to control. So as we know, these cars do not have ABS, if I'm right, Lorenzo. I don't think they have ABS, because I'm sure the GTA don't.
I don't think they have ABS as well. They have power steering, but they do not have ABS.
No traction control, I believe.
They have a similar. They will have in the next generation.
He lost it.
Almost spinning out.
Yeah, Andrew isn't.
These LMP2 cars have been on the pretty much the mouth of every passionate supporter of racing, because there have been some talks inside the FIA about implementing brake-by-wire into the prototypes in the second class. We already know the P1 cars have brake-by-wire. It's been a long time since they have implemented that. But in LMP2 cars are fairly, I don't want to say rudimental, but they're much simpler than the LMP1 cars. And that's why LMP2 cars have been getting larger fields over the years. If you think about WEC, World Endurance Championship, the highest amount of manufacturers there have been was in the mid-2010s, where we had Rebellion Racing, Toyota, Audi, Porsche, and basically Ginetta, maybe, for a few years. I'm not sure. And the LMP2 cars were like 40 cars every year. So this is actually the division that I personally like the most in the prototype field. And we should actually keep an eye on the LMP3 cars, because they look fun to drive as well. Oh, and obviously the DPI cars. Nicola is all over Giuseppe. Oh, and Giuseppe, look. Harper, that's Harper. Nicola says thank you very much once again. He now has to hope Giuseppe doesn't get a good run of the left-hander. Yeah, pretty much. And look at the gap that Whitehead has built over Holsel already, almost 9 seconds. But he was not able to cut the gap towards Talvice, so Talvice is the guy in control in LMP2. And but things are not that far in GTE class, as we're now watching Will Caligari as well. gaining steadily, not by big amounts, but still gaining a couple tenths per lap on David Capuzzi. Pretty impressive stuff by Will Caligari. That's his first race in the championship. He's up to P4 on the lead lap as well. Yeah, actually less than that. Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, he's gaining steadily, so that means Will Caligari is on a good pace. David Capuzzi, on the other hand, needs to get on with it because he's now losing much more time than he was losing before. So David Capuzzi, the Porsche driver, this is all in the Porsche house. Will Caligari on the Golf livery, the Porsche, while David Capuzzi on the Proton Dempsey racing machine. Now gap is down to 4.5 seconds. Top 10 for Alnor. Good show for the driver. Look at Will is gaining. If Will keeps gaining like he is, he will catch David Capuzzi by the end of the race, unless Capuzzi makes a mistake or picks up the pace. Now, gap is down to 4 seconds, so Will has gained about 6 tenths in this lap, which should be enough for him to catch David by the end of the lap, by the end of the race. Sorry. Actually, that car who made the mistake was one of the GT cars outside the top 10. So Talbice completely saved from Whitehead unless he collects damage from a spin. He needs to keep his cool and just limp home. Jason Whitehead. Losing time there. No, I think he was just low out of the first section of the track. Look at that, he's on the limit again. Jason Whitehead, really, his car is not working well. Look at the car control there. Yeah, I'll tell you what though, if he gets that P2, that's well deserved. Look at this. Look at the car control. That's actually a great piece of car control. I'll tell you that. Yes, I did. Tell you what though, guess who's coming under the 3-second mark? Will Caligari under the 3-second mark towards Capuzzi. So yes, let's see. He makes way for Will. Good piece of driving there by Rob Milliken. Gap is down to 3.2 seconds. There is David Capuzzi and there is Will. The gap is coming down, boys. This is the battle for now. David Capuzzi having to keep the car on the track as much as possible. He cannot afford to make any mistake. Oh, and look, we missed that, but Nicola Pastore is now leading. Nicola Pastore in the 51 Ferrari is now the leader in GT class. Who would have thought that he would make the mistake? I mean, Giuseppe Pastore is right there, less than 1.5 seconds behind him. So, plenty of action. I told you, Nas, in those consecutive left-handers, the P2 cars do not produce enough mechanical grip to keep the car flat out. The GT cars actually have more mechanical grip than the prototypes. Obviously let down for it. That's why they have that speed differential overall. And yeah, the mechanical grip really comes in handy in these situations. Gap is now down to 2.7 seconds between Capuzzi and Caligari. Capuzzi made a mistake. Gap is down to less than 2 seconds now. Look at that. Caligari now has clear track ahead of him. You can see Capuzzi in front of him. 5 minutes left into the race. This is going to be a drag race to the finish. Gap is now down to 1.7 seconds. Will has a pace advantage. Let's see. This is actually the closest battle we're gonna get. Also, Thomas also vanifying the work he had done to get close to Whitehead, as Capuzzi goes rightly wide. Now Whitehead also will have to overtake these two cars. Yeah, the LMP2 cars are really struggling in these wet conditions. As we now see, the gap is down to less than 1 second. Will Caligari on fire today? On fire to get that podium place on debut. That's an amazing debut, by the way. And yeah, let's see what happens. Will Caligari now pounding Capuzzi, but they're gonna have to let Holzel pass. We know the speed differential there, but the P2 car does not look that fast. I'll tell you that. Look, it's very far behind these guys. Look at this. It doesn't. Oh, and the Holzel is around again. He had a shot at a recovering Whitehead, and he blew that. And Caligari has now cashed Capuzzi with 3 minutes left into the race. This is gonna get interesting, guys. Oh, Capuzzi's wide. Yeah, but he's gonna have the advantage of the inside now. Oh, and the switcheroo again. Capuzzi, great piece of driving there to keep Will honest, but Will positioning himself in the right place. Great piece of driving by these two. Now, David Capuzzi has to try something because there's not much left into the race. You gotta try a move. Yeah, Tony is literally See Capruzzi trying to make a move on Caligari as we speak. Caligari is able to hold him off at the moment. Nah, that's not gonna happen. He's too far back. Almost a second now. Capruzzi very strong under braking though, so Will has to be careful because if Capruzzi catches him, that's gonna be tricky to keep him at bay. Where is Tony Talvice on track position? Because that's critical for Caligari and Capruzzi. There is Tony Talvice, so I think we are going to get another lap. Tony Talvice is going to cross the line before the time expires. Yes, but many cars going wide at this stage. One more lap, so this is gonna get somebody in trouble. In fact, dropping behind Gutierrez up to P6 in class. That's gonna put a mile for a dismal race. This is the last lap. Brucey has no chance of recovering that place unless Caligari makes a mistake. He's now 3.1 seconds behind him, so Caligari really making the move at the right time. Incredible sense of timing by the American. Yeah. No mercy from Tony. Yeah, he said have a bit of that and squeeze Barrett to the absolute limit of the track. I don't think he cares at this point because Barrett Ericsson's job was to finish in front of Jens Roos, and that's gonna be accomplished unless something weird happens. Pretty much, yes. And you are watching an incredible drive being completed by Tony Talvice, really well deserved, and he crosses the line to get P1. Great drive, great drive. Will Caligari, the absolute MVP in GT class, gaining 12 places, starting from all the way to P15, man. And you look at Jason Whitehead putting a show again. He's celebrating already the P2. But let's not jinx it for him in the last corners. Jens Roos gaining a positive race overall. I think gained 3 places. Still finished behind Barrett Ericsson, but limited the damage and in the standings with a nice top 7 finish. Yes, look at that. Nicola Pastore pretty much saved from Giuseppe. And Jason Whitehead here, crossing the line to get the P2 he deserved. With great driving for Whitehead today. Really struggled with the car all race long, but he was able. I'm not sure of that actually. I don't remember if he actually won some races before. Not sure of that. It certainly is his first in the championship. I can tell you that. Great driving from Nicola all race long. Pole position and P1 in the race. Great driving. Look at how he's celebrating the win. Good on Nicola. Yeah, Will and Sam have a bit of fun outside the track. Will Caligari is celebrating his P3 with some donuts. There he is. That's putting on a show, and we will hear shortly from the man himself, Will Caligari, and we will ask him a couple questions. Samir Rashad also celebrating a good top 13 finish, and that's good on Sam. Yeah, that's great to see. Great to see. No, you gotta be careful though, because Joe Brown was coming up there. That the great race. This was probably the best race of the season so far. I mean, the first stint was breathtaking, really, and also with the rain starting again in at the 40-minute mark, roughly, we see Nicola Pastore with 47 laps completed, getting the P1. Giuseppe Pastore right behind him, P2.
I
With
mean,
Caligari, MVP in GT class with 12 overtakes, gets P2 with the Golf Porsche. Capruzzi for Joe Brown, the Porsche official esports team, P5. Barrett Eriksson, your leader in the standings, P6. Jens Roos, a great race from the driver, limiting the damage in the standings in P7. Alberto Alvarez quietly getting a top 8 finish. Great job from the driver. Nigel Middleton, quite unfortunate with an earlier spin, gets a solid result in P9. Arnold caught with a Ferrari, which was kind of unpresent in the first stint in P10. Samir Shad actually got up to P11, also thanks to Rob Milliken's unfortunate contact with the wall in the closing stages. Robin finishing P12. Didier Coelho, probably his worst performance in the last 3 races, getting a P13. And the last but not least classified car is Lewis Middleton in P14. Unfortunately, John Bidigas, probably the most unexpected retirement earlier in the race. Tough race for John, as he
indeed.
now sees the championship hopes fading away. We come up to P2 class with Tony Felvice getting a well-deserved race win with 48 laps completed. Jason Whitehead putting on a show with car control all during the entire, both the first stint and the second stint. Get P2 in the number 33 Oreca. Thomas Holsel P3 in the Bicolis, great show from the driver. Craig Jones for Rebellion Williams Esports in P4. His teammate Carl Milton is right behind him in P5. Johnny Gutierrez, unfortunate with the penalty for the start procedure breach, P6. And last but not least, classified car, Andrew Harper. He was actually P4 for most of the first stint, then had a couple contacts with the lap cars. And then we have Michael Labelle in P8. Fortunately, he was probably the driver who went off at the formation lap and got some damage and couldn't really make up for it. Now, Roger Haynes, incredible drama for him. He was fighting for the top 5 for basically half of the race. Finishes P9, but is actually registered as DNF. And Tanner Selby, probably a hardware issue for him or connection problems. Sees him DNF as well. Very unfortunate. So yeah, guys, it's been a pretty intense race, I must say. I am very, very pleased with what we have seen. Next
Indeed.
up, we have round 5 at the almighty Fuji Speedway in Japan. Obviously, a holy place in Japanese motorsports, as this track was built in the 50s. And joining us from the race are actually a couple of drivers that really put on a show today. Will Caligari finishing P3 in GT class, all the way from P15. So a great race for the American driver. And Samir Rashad finishing in top 11 in this ranking in the S397 Endu series. Will, any thoughts on the start?
Well, we didn't expect the rain. That was the thing. Or not the rain, it being wet on the track. It kind of shocked us all in warm up. So all of a sudden we saw that the rain came down and we had to start under the little bit of wetness on the track. So we went on slicks for the most part. Wasn't that bad, but what a group of drivers here. Really. I mean, working through the pack, everybody's quick, everybody's respectful. Their offense and defense is good. We had a ton of fun. Um, when the LMP2 cars very respectful as well. They made their passes very well. They choreographed their moves, no problems. Like nobody dived, and if anybody did, it was because of mistake. And it's no harm, no foul.
And
Um,
also, talk us through the move on David Capruzzi because that was applying the pressure lap after lap and really forcing a mistake from the driver.
yeah, I saw with when I made my pit stop. I knew I had about 30 minutes or so left, and he had a pretty healthy gap to me. But I knew, today I just had the better car pretty much. So I had to just work my way lap after lap, trying to hit my marks. And it was tough doing that, especially when some of the LMP2 cars, they don't have ABS. They're struggling under braking and the corners with all the water on the track. So sometimes I was getting off of corners faster than they were. So we were kind of butting heads a little bit. And I'd gain 3 seconds on Capruzzi, and then I'd lose it all back just because I got stuck in the wrong area. So, classic multi-class racing kind of deal. But once I got up to about 3 seconds and could see him pretty well in front of me, he got a little hindrance from some of the LMP2 cars, which opened it for me. I was right behind him, and I was able to stay in his mirrors a bit, make a move. Um, I saw when he went a little bit wide in turn one, I knew he was going to slip off the exit right there. So I thought, might as well go for it, see what happens. And he played a good fight. He went for a switchback, but I thought I held the inside through, I believe it'd be turn three and into turn four, and I got a really good run
Yes,
off
the
of the
downhill
exit.
section.
Exactly, yeah, I got a good run out of there, and the first thing I thought was in the wet. If he's behind me, he's got two corners after that. He can attack me right away. So I had to get out of there as quick as possible. And I felt I did really well for the rest of that lap. And luckily, I had enough fuel in the car, so I was burning pretty rich throughout the entire last stint. And didn't have to worry about the fuels. Tires felt pretty good, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And also, I want to interview a bit Samir Rashad because this was the first outing, and after long, long sessions of practice under the rain, really was he was fighting for P9 at one stage. So,
No, I made a big mistake in the entry of pit stop. I lost like 70 seconds, and then I got a drive through. Otherwise, I was fighting for P7, P8. I was just waiting for my times on behind the other guy in the first stint. I saw we started together, me and Will. So our plan was to make our way to the top. I lost a bit of time in the beginning because I was just a bit scared because I didn't want to ruin other driver the race, and I was just waiting, watching them, fighting with them, with the uh, Middleton and the other guy. Very clean, super. I had so much fun and throughout the whole race. And then when the rain started, I was just enjoying. I even if I had 60 seconds to recover on the other guy, I was like 2 to 3 seconds faster than them, but was so much fun.
Indeed, as we
it was
have
so much fun
words,
for us indeed to
as
comment on it.
As
And
Lorenzo, I have words from Johnny Gutierrez. He posted on the forum saying, "Congrats to Tony and Nick on the win. Congrats to the podium or whoever finished. Just finishing was an accomplishment. I started the race like a champ, wind in my hair, looking like a supermodel. When the race finished, I was pulled, tired, and don't know what the crap happened. Sorry about that language. Sorry of my life. Anyways, sorry to Jen. I couldn't seem to pass him, and when I did, I spun. I had fun in a strange way, though." Though, on the next, Johnny. And that was the words from
It
Johnny
was Johnny
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez, the guy starting in P1 and
Yeah,
one
what
of
an
the
unfortunate
contenders in
race for
P2
him.
class. So
He could have handled that win, but nonetheless, it was a great race. Fantastic
Super.
job from all the drivers, and we can't wait to see you on the next race,
Fuji is gonna be
which will
incredible.
be on Fuji exactly, Samir. Not sure if Samir and will take part, but we hope they will. Until then, tune up to see what will happen. Make sure you go to check this VOD, which will be available in the YouTube channel of SimRacingOnline. Make sure you give them a subscribe and make sure you check out their website. They have great racing content. You can make an account and start racing for free, and it's a fantastic environment.
Join the
I
league.
I suggest to everyone to
I
take a look.
suggest everyone.
You might find a league for you, like Sam said. And other than that, thank you for watching. We will see you in the next stream. And from all of us, have a wonderful day, wonderful night, wherever you are. And goodbye.